Hey friends, I'm Mel. Welcome to my kitchen. If you are like me and most everyone I know, right now you are looking at that pantry and you are looking at those grocery prices and you are thinking, what can I make without having to go shopping? That's what I did this week, and I hope this will bring you some inspiration. I've got 3 wonderful dinners that we enjoyed this week. 2 of them are brand new recipes I had never made before, and they did not disappoint. So sit back, relax, grab you some sweet tea, and let me do the cooking. Tonight I'm making a new dish. It is called cheeseburger gnocchi, and this is a 1 skillet meal. You know how I feel about 1 skillet meals. I love them. And look, this is all simple, regular pantry staple stuff that most of us have. The only thing, you might not have heavy cream and you may not have gnocchi. I've got to where this is a pantry staple for me now because I have found that I love it. I've got 1 tablespoon of butter in my skillet here, and I'm going to toast up this gnocchi on both sides. If you're not familiar with gnocchi, it is just a potato dumpling. You find it in the same aisle that you would find macaroni and pasta products, and I have mainly used it in soups. I've never used it in anything like this, so I was excited to try it in this. And I've toasted it up on both sides in that butter, and I'm just going to then remove it from the skillet. This is also a very cost-friendly meal because you are only using a half a pound of ground beef, and mine was pretty lean, but if you need to drain some of the grease off, be sure and do that. I didn't really have to do that with mine, and I'm just seasoning it up with some salt and some pepper, and I'm going to use a half a teaspoon of paprika, 1 teaspoon of cumin, and I'm just going to get all of my seasonings kind of mixed into my meat, and I'm going to put 1 teaspoon of some Dijon mustard, and that will kind of add to our cheeseburger taste here. Then I'm coming in with some diced onions, and I just want to stir that in and kind of cook it until that's pretty translucent, and then we'll add just a little bit of garlic too. Then I'm going to take 1 can of rotel, and I did not drain this, and I'm also using a cup of beef broth, and just going to get all that kind of up to a boil. Then I'm going to add that gnocchi right back into that, stir everything together, and make sure that gnocchi is kind of submerged under that water. Did not call for this in the recipe, but I did throw a little Worcestershire sauce in mine. Once that comes back up to a boil, I am going to cover it and cook it for about 5 to 10 minutes, and I stir it kind of once in between and just check on it and make sure everything is okay in there, and it's still going to be just a little bit liquidy whenever you do pull it off of that heat, but it will thicken up as it sits there, so don't worry about that. And once you get it off the heat, then we're going to add in about a cup of cheese, and I just used cheddar here. Then about 1/4 cup of heavy cream. I'm going to stir in that cheese and heavy cream, make sure that's all incorporated, and just spread through this dish real evenly. Then I'm just going to put just maybe a 1/2 cup of cheese on the top, and I'm putting that under the broiler in the oven just long enough to get it nice and brown on top. You really need to let this set for maybe 5 or 10 minutes once you get it out from underneath the broiler. This first plate that I fixed up was in a hurry and needed to get moving on, and I really plated it up too quickly. It still tastes good, but it did not have time to come together. But this is one thing about this meal, is it did come together very quickly. It was quicker than a 30-minute meal. But now this is my plate. A little while later, after I got off of my Zoom class, I came back and fixed my plate out to eat. By this time it had gotten perfect. Everything had just set up, so it was nice and thick. The dumplings were really good in this. Wonderful warm flavors, perfect for a cold night, and I loved the gnocchi in the skillet meal. I have been wanting some fish, So tonight is the night. Decided to bake some up, but I'm going to start out with making a little tartar sauce for us. The base is just about a cup of mayonnaise, and I'm going to squeeze in about a teaspoonful of lemon juice and just a teaspoon of yellow mustard. I am going to put in about 2 teaspoons of sweet pickle relish, and I like to try to squeeze as much juice out of it as I can there on the side of the jar. Just going to give it just a crack of black pepper too. We'll mix all this up and see where we stand. Perfect. Put that in the fridge till we're ready to eat. Going to make some hush puppies tonight. We're going to start with a box of Jiffy corn muffin mix, because really here in the South, the only reason we eat the fish is to get to the hush puppies, right? Into our muffin mix, we're going to put in a 1/4 cup of flour, and of course I'm just using plain old self-rising flour. I'm going to go ahead and put my seasonings in. I'm going to give it a little crack of black pepper. I'm going to use a little of my Auntie Nono's, and this is salt, onion powder, and garlic powder. And give it a fair amount of parsley here. Just going to take the lid off that. Give it some pretty color. I'm going to put in about 1/4 cup of onion. Want that diced up pretty fine. Let's crack in 1 egg and 1/3 cup milk. Want to mix this up beforehand and get it in the refrigerator too, because it's just a whole lot easier to drop into your hot oil when this mixture's had a little bit of time to set up. And it looks delicious already. I'm going to mix this up a little coating here for our fish. We're going to start with some Parmesan cheese. I'm just eyeballing this, and I'm on the wrong side. Want to use about a cup of this, a little more, a little less. Go sprinkle in just a little bit of parsley. Use some of my Auntie Nono's. And I absolutely love their seafood seasoning, so I use a fair amount of this. This has the wonderful citrus lemony flavors, but it's also got a fair amount of brown sugar and paprika to it, and I really like that. I actually use this on chicken. I use it on a lot of different things. I even just sprinkle it on my salads sometimes. It just has a really good flavor, a lot of flavors that I like. And I'm just going to go at it like this. I'm just going to drizzle and brush both sides of this fish with some olive oil. This will really keep it moist, and it helps the breading to stick to this fish. And that is the next step. You just want to dredge your fish in the breading. Really take your time and coat it. Press those crumbs and that Parmesan down in there, because this tilapia is a very mild fish, and all the flavor is going to come in this breading, and it is full of flavor. Then I'm just going to put that fish onto a greased pan. Going to cook it about 15 or 20 minutes at 400 degrees. It is done really quickly. And while that's cooking up, we'll start on the hush puppies. Okay, as you can see, I'm scraping the barrel on oil. This was all I had. I don't know what happened. And I'm making very little hush puppies because they will puff up, and I just don't have much oil in here. So I've got my oil at 350, and as per my usual protocol, I crank it up and it gets too hot and I have to burn a couple, and then I can get it down. These right here just came out. Look at them. They look good, don't they, Dad? Let's see if we can break one open here if it's not too hot. Let me go ahead and flip these, because these are just going to take a couple of minutes on each side. So I'm really trying to stay right here with them. Let's try this little one that just came out. Oh, that's perfect, isn't it? That looks good. The only problem when you eat them is you fry them. You ain't gonna have any left.
I've done these a lot better before, but of course when I want to show you, it's not so good. It is what it is when you got that much oil, right?
The fish was absolutely perfect. I love the coating on it, the flavors, the color, the texture. Everything about this fish is so good. Every time I make it, we always say, why don't I make this more often? It is one of the easiest meals you will ever make and fairly inexpensive. The hush puppies were delicious as always, and I just wanted to show you how pretty and white and flaky this fish is. It was so delicious. I just can't tell you enough how easy and how delicious and what a bang for your buck you'll get with this. You can prepare this fish up like this and do it in fish tacos, eat it like this, however you like it. It is so delicious and so flavorful.
I'm starting the morning like I seem to start a lot of mornings, with boneless, skinless chicken breast in the crock pot here. I'm gonna throw in some cracked chicken today. So I've got about 4 chicken breasts, and I'm gonna put 1 block of cream cheese. Then I'm just taking an envelope of the ranch seasoning. If you have the kind in the canister, this is probably about 3 tablespoons. And I like to sprinkle just a little extra garlic powder on mine. And I think today I'm just going to put just a little bit of water in here with this, maybe about half a cup. I'm going to put my lid on here. I'm going to let this cook on low all day. I'm going to be gone. And when I get back, we'll finish it off with some bacon and just shred everything up. And you guys have seen cracked chicken, I'm sure, probably seen it a million times, but I'm making a new recipe tonight, but it starts with cracked chicken. And this is probably a little bit more chicken than what I'll need for this recipe, but that's okay. Cracked chicken's delicious. We can eat it on sandwiches if we have some left over. It's also good to eat on crackers or like tortilla chips, or just with a fork. It's just good. It's real good. So anyway, first step, this does most of the work for us today. It's been many, many hours later since I left this chicken. I've had a big fun day. So there's my cream cheese, and here's my chicken, and I am just going to take this meat masher and break this chicken up and stir that cream cheese into it. Still tender, still good. That's the great thing about the crock pot. It's pretty forgiving. I'm also just going to take some real bacon pieces, sprinkle the rest of this little container of those in, and stir that around with it. And normally when I make cracked chicken, I put some shredded cheddar cheese down in here. But I am not going to do that tonight, because we're going to cheese this up fairly good over here in just a second. And I have a big pot of boiling water, and I'm taking some lasagna noodles, and I'm just going to cook them up about 7 or 8 minutes. You don't want to cook these quite as long as you normally would, because these are actually oven ready ones. Now that my noodles are all done cooking up here, just going to pull them out here and lay them out to sort of dry and mainly cool so we can handle them. We are going to do some cracked chicken lasagna rolls. Can't wait. It did not take but just a minute or so for those to cool, but I've got a greased about 9 by 13 inch baking dish here, and I'm taking about half a cup of Alfredo sauce. This one is roasted garlic. Just going to spread it down here in the bottom of this. Now we're going to make our little roll-ups here. Just going to take a lasagna noodle. Then you're going to spread your chicken mixture down your noodle. Of course, this is one of those dishes where it says to be careful not to overstuff. So I'm going to do my best Got that spread out pretty good. Then you're just gonna roll this up. Oh yeah, that's nice and easy. Believe it or not, this is the first time I have ever done lasagna rolls. Then you're just gonna put it seam side down over here into your baking dish. These are surprisingly easy to work with. I've done stuffed shells a time or two, and you know, if you watch many of my recipes, that I'm not one for frou-frou cooking. I like stuff that's done quick and easy, the least amount of dishes that you have. I'm not into a bunch of prep work. And yeah, these are a lot easier than stuffed shells. I really like this. I'm going to put a little bit more in this one than I did the last one because I really didn't have a lot coming out of the side of that one. And we don't want to be skimpy. Oh, that's a nice big meaty boy. Look at that one. There's one in every crowd, isn't there? You know what I said way back this morning about I'll probably have some left over for sandwiches and this and that? No, this recipe was pretty much spot on. Once I started filling them nice and full, because I saw that I could, I got like one little spoonful left, and that is all. Now we're just going to take about another cup of the Alfredo sauce and put it all over the top of these. So that was about a 15 or 16 ounce jar of Alfredo sauce there that I used on this. Now we're going to sprinkle on about a cupful of mozzarella cheese. And something that I did forget to mention is that this recipe is about 7 Weight Watchers points. I'm not doing Weight Watchers, but I am trying to do a little bit better job about noticing things at like maybe keto or Weight Watchers, and you know, just trying to be a little bit more mindful of these things. But I did not have the low-fat cream cheese. I had to use full fat, and that may make a difference. But anyhow, I wanted to throw that in there for anybody that might be helpful to. Then I'm just going to sprinkle some parsley on the top of mine because I love parsley, how it looks in mozzarella cheese. And I did have my oven preheated to 350 degrees, and I'm going to bake this for 25 to 30 minutes.
These little cracked chicken lasagna rolls, I just can't say enough good things about them. They were so much fun to make, so much easier than what I thought they would be. And look at all that cheesiness on there. I was obsessed in this video about showing you the inside of the food for some reason, but everything just cooked up so pretty and so good. These were absolutely delicious and so filling, and every one of these just paired up so good with a salad, and that just made it even more easy. But these are so good. As soon as Maddie ate this one, she said, "Mom, this one needs to go on the rotation." She absolutely loved it. We all did. So flavorful, and the cracked chicken really came through, and it tastes so good along with that Alfredo. I wasn't sure how those two flavors were going to go together, but if you don't try anything this week, try these cracked chicken lasagna roll-ups. They were absolutely delicious and so much fun to make. And that fish will really surprise you about that flavor. It was so good. If you are enjoying today's video, I would love it if you would go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. That would mean the world to me. Subscribe if you haven't so you don't ever miss a video. And thank you so much for being here. I don't ever take your time for granted. I love spending our Sunday evenings together. And let me know down in the comments what you plan on making. And of course, be sure and give me your feedback after you do. I can't wait to see you next Wednesday. Got a super special video. Until then, I send you love from my kitchen.